We're on? Okay. Good evening, everyone. and Good evening to those folks at home in the town of Highlands. We have a public hearing at our last meeting on community choice aggregation. Since it was a really nasty night, no one showed up, and I don't think we have many more tonight. But Olga, do you have anything? Or first of all, I need a motion to reopen the public hearing.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Olga?
We're, my committee and we're just here to support the board in whatever decision you make and
Okay.
going forward.
All right. Seeing no further public comment, I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I have the previous minutes of the... Good evening. Deborah, if you would sit right up on this corner here, I'm going to give you a microphone.
Okay. Let's connect. They're all connected.
Thanks.
Just gonna move away and give you some extra space. Nothing good.
Ms. Copeland asked to speak tonight on LED lighting, and for various reasons, she wants to go in and out, so I'm going to put her on right now. And Ms. Copeland, you have the floor.
Thanks, Bob. I did speak to Justin this week, and he suggested that I speak to you before my next filing to see if you wanted to settle. But I want to be clear that my position is that the town should take this opportunity, sorry, I'm a little out of breath, to look at some...
Take your time.
Yeah, just running up the stairs. To look at the orange LED light market as to where it is right now and see, I think the last time that I investigated it, which was a while ago, was there were some new lights coming out of China where they were stripping out more of the blue-white content. But the issue, from my perspective, as well as the people who have signed my petition and kept in touch with me, is that we do not want the sodium and mercury vapor lights to be replaced with a blue-white light. And I think, again, where we left off with the papers that had been submitted, is you had Davis, California, which ripped them all out and replaced them with some kind of lower color temperature light. You have Flagstaff, which went with the orange LED, and the Yosemite Park, which went with the orange LED. And again, I would submit, because many of the roads in Fort Montgomery are adjacent to the state park and that we're more akin to Yosemite, but in any case, you have major cities that have said we need a lower color temperature light. So at this point, I don't know what offerings. I guess we're just in our last conversation, you told me that the town was then contemplating signing a contract with NYPA to maintain the lights, but the question is, what light color temperature are you looking at? And the literature that I provided to you incontrovertibly said that 3500 was linked with health problems. Not that lower color temperature weren't, but blue light in general. And you had a number of doctors in New York State saying 3500 is too high. My feeling is what we have now, and I don't know the exact color temperature of what we have now, but certainly the sodium vapors go as low as 1900 or below. And there is an orange LED light at 1750. So that continues to be my, and I would say our position, the people who are supportive, were supportive of that petition. So I guess as long as I'm here, the first question is, where you've left off, what color temperature light are you looking at? Number two, are you amenable to re-engaging to see if there's a lower color temperature light that you would consider examining? I'll leave it at that for now.
Hey, Councilman Sullivan, do you have any comment?
Yeah, good evening, Deborah. So, a couple things. We didn't get that far because we had the restraining order as far as the design. From the onset, when Patty Woods came and spoke, we waited at your request, and she talked about 2700 being the low end of Kelvin, which is what we agreed to and wanted to have control over it. Since that time, and I read this off at the last meeting, Orange and Rockland replaces their burned out lights with LED lights. There used to be 0, there's now 14 of them, and if I'm looking at the spreadsheet correctly, every one of them is 5,000 Kelvin. So I'm not sure your issues aren't with Orange and Rockland, but when they burn out, they replace them with an LED light, and that is happening.
Okay. Well, if that's where we're at, 5,000 and the continual replacement of 5,000 is absolutely unacceptable to me.
That's why we want to have control doing it the way we're going to do it.
Right. So,
Yes.
as Richie said, right, we were going to go through a design process with, I don't know if it's Nike or Orange and Rockland. That got halted by your litigation. We haven't continued that process. Orange and Rockland, who owns and controls, right, we're not telling them to put 5,000 in. That seems to be what they are doing. So, again, the board had indicated, and in discussions with the various representatives, they wanted the ability to put different lights in different parts of the town, sensitive to different aspects of the town and the community. As Sullivan said, we didn't engage in many of those conversations because it got halted by the stay order at the Supreme Court.
That's correct.
So we're sympathetic to what you're talking about. I mean, we hear you. And it's not just that we hear you. This is our town as well as your town. And 9W, that needs the bright lights. If you notice, there's a couple of street lights out, and it's very, very dark. And there's nothing wrong with lighting up 9W. However, when you go up Canterbury or Mine Road and what have you, there's no reason for those kind of bright lights. And we understand that.
What, and I think, just as a more specific thing, and I think this is where things were a little confusing, is that way back when NIPA was not offering a solution that was not a blue-white light. I'm not sure what their position is on that today, or even if you were, since you weren't getting the lights from NIPA directly, are you getting them from O&R? Who were you going to use as the vendor for the lights?
We never got that far.
Got it, I got it, I understand now.
But it is through NIPA and the contracts that they are doing and have various vendors. So we're not that far, but no, it's not from O&R. From O&R, we simply buy
The fixtures.
materials and
Okay.
fixtures.
Yeah, I mean, I think, so I'll just ask you, as long as we're having this conversation, not to pussyfoot around things, are you amenable to re-engaging and doing a little research on the new offerings on the market to see if you can put a lower color temperature light, either in the yellow or orange cast, in the O&R fixtures?
Rich?
In the O&R fixtures? In other words, modifying what they already have, or you mean with the replacements?
Well, my understanding is you're going to take control of the fixtures if this contract.
We will purchase them, and they will be removed, and they will be replaced.
They being the lights.
Yes.
Right. The question is, would another company's amber or yellow LED light fit into that fixture? I mean, it's a technical question.
I can't answer that. I'm not sure. There's sodium vapor, and there's also plenty of mercury vapor out in, right now, out of the 167, 14 of them are LED, and it's about split between the balance between mercury vapor and sodium vapor.
Right. Okay, so, and again, just to reiterate, our position is that the neighborhoods should continue to have a yellow or orange light. Obviously, I prefer the vapor, but if you're gonna do an LED, you wanna be looking at orange or yellow like these other jurisdictions I mentioned. Florida, of course, uses red for the turtles. I think Alabama as well. But, you know, that's the thing. So I want to know what, if you're willing to investigate that and see if there's an option for that and see if the fixture itself will accommodate another, I mean, that's a technical question I don't know the answer to. Will the fixture accommodate another light? And are you willing to re-engage and look at such another light so that we would be essentially replacing like with like and have an orange or yellow, I wouldn't mind red, but an orange or yellow light that replaces the mercury or sodium vapor so that you have an LED orange or yellow to stick in that low color temperature range.
Rich, unless I'm mistaken, we're not just buying light bulbs, we're buying the entire fixture.
The orange are staying for most of them, and they're being retrofitted with the lights being removed, the existing lights being replaced with LED. If we were to pursue what you're suggesting, and I don't want to speak anything inaccurate, I don't think New York Power Authority is going to be the people that we need to be talking to about that. They're going to come in with LED lights, and they knew before they came here, even when Jeff Leno presented in April of 2019, how sensitive we were to having a design that would suit the community and you. We want to include you and whatnot. That I think that opportunity has not been engaged because we've been idle.
All right, are you willing to look to other sources for a different color temperature light?
Other sources, this would be the Power Authority working. I mean, we can work with them that they buy the type of lights that we're looking for. But we're not going out as a town buying LED lights.
All right, well, like I said, where we last left off, and this is what I was saying to you yesterday on the phone, Justin, or I guess it was 2 days ago at this point, 3 days ago, the NYPA was not offering anything other than what I, have termed, metaphorically speaking, the one-size-fits-all light. I mean, they seem to have a few options, but essentially they're all blue-white lights. So yeah, I mean, I think, again, if the town is only willing to go with what NYPA has sourced, we're, right back where we were in terms of not having a zone of possible agreement.
I'm not sure about that because we haven't had the opportunity to meet with NYPA
Okay.
to talk about it. I mean, we don't have to accept whatever they give us. We don't have to accept that.
All right. Well, if you're willing, and I think you and I could talk tomorrow too about timing. Obviously, I don't want to get into motions and whatnot, but if you're willing to look into that and see if there are now other options, and of course we're farther out in time, perhaps there are more options, and there's certainly more municipalities that have been doing that. I think if there were such a solution, that's a win-win for everybody. It will reduce the bill. You'll have the LED, which is the more modern light, and you'll have the color temperature that I think is appropriate for an area nestled in a state park. If you're willing to do a little bit of, investigation as to that as an option. I mean, I think that's ultimately it's my desired goal. I think it's the desired goal of the constituents who did feel strongly about this. And I did at the time have, pretty lengthy conversations with people. It wasn't like walking around being like, hey, if you like me, sign my petition. It was an involved conversation as to appropriate technology. I don't know. Jason Taylor's here. I think he had some real world experience with some blue-white LEDs. I'd like him to address you. And I think just in the meantime, I would just say if you haven't, you go back into the case file, which is on EF 4088-2020. There are quite, a number of developed studies as to the long-term effects on the blue-white light, on the retina, on sleep, on melatonin, the impacts of decreased melatonin, sleep, cancer, and other sort of neurological and psychological problems as well. But I think, you know, we could follow up after you've talked to the board. Does that sound good? And I think if, you know, you would listen to Jason Taylor, who could just give you some real world experience with the blue-white LED, just to kind of put this in a little more, you know, personal context. The only other thing I would add as well is, and I have this conversation with people all the time, and I had it with a lot of people in town, is once the car companies kind of moved into the LED, people find the lights too bright, too sharp, don't like driving at night as much. Then if you have an SUV and it's higher, it can be a little bit blinding. And certainly, as you know, discussed at the time, you had a range from people in Brooklyn who were complaining, my neighborhood is lit up like a movie set or a runway at an airport, to people saying, you know, stuff's shining in my bedroom, it's creating a quality of life issue. But I'll circle, I know you guys want to look this over, I'll talk to Justin after you've had your executive session, and yeah, if you would just sort of consider what Jason has to say, I think it would just sort of inform the discussion a little more.
Okay, if you could switch seats with Jason and...
Thanks.
But please introduce yourself.
Hi,
That's what it
Jason
is.
Taylor, Fort Montgomery. I don't know how much what I have to say is that relevant to that, but I have read the research on this, and we do appreciate your efforts on behalf of the town. So definitely appreciate it, and I guess if something like this is going to move forward, it would be, you know, nice at this point to make it as safe for everybody in the town as possible. And to get to try to shift things into that amber light. You know, the research is that, you know, scientific, you know, peer-reviewed research, and there are a lot of health concerns, or you know, for humans as well as animals. We obviously we're more concerned with ourselves. So if we have that opportunity, you know, my feeling is we might as well take it and to do the best job we can, you know, for all the residents of the towns. I don't know if this is the forum. I mean, I personally feel there's a lot of light pollution already in the town. What Deborah was speaking about with myself personally, especially now that the leaves are down, I live behind on the river, so I have the Ford Fitness, and then I have Bosch's garage, and they have those lights, and they shine, you know, directly into my home, and also some of the lights from the hotel, from the Holiday Inn, and it's intrusive. I mean, it's very intrusive. I would like to see, you know, maybe a town ordinance with a level of brightness and also appropriateness of lighting. So if your, you know, goal is security and you're trying to light your property, well, that's fine. But if you have a light and you just take it and you shine it, and I'm shining on you right now, it's like, well, what are you doing? Well, I'm trying to get security for myself. You're like, well, you're shining it right into my house or onto my property, then it kind of becomes light pollution. So I know a lot of towns are, you know, have shielded lighting, and they also have, they talk about, you know, have the level of brightness they can have. And nobody's saying, you know, don't do what you want on your own property, but also, you know, don't be intrusive or pollute at the same time. So that's just kind of my 2 cents on that. But again, we do appreciate the work you're doing on behalf of the town. So I thank you for that.
Thank you.
I know you were here before and asked about if there were nodes on them, they would be cellular. So the answer to that is no. I think everybody knows that. And the whole discussion about having shields and whatnot, we never had a chance to continue those discussions. We've been stopped since August. So those were thoughts, but we never had those discussions because we were timed out.
So as long as you're mentioning that, so you're saying you're not going to be looking to retrofit them for a wireless node?
I don't know that NIPA will do that. Oh, for the node?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be.
There was discussion over some of them being dimmable. For example, the police could have a device in their car. They come to the intersection of 9W and Firefighters Drive. They could dim it and whatnot. I'm not so, and we would have somebody with an app in town that would know if one is burned out. Within 2 weeks, it would be replaced. The contract was going to be $20 per light per year for NIPA to do that. We wouldn't hire any electricians, it was all gonna be NIPA taking care of that. But we never had a chance to engage.
No, I understand that. I'm glad you brought up, because I did see something in the kind of literature that they were circulating. So I guess that question would be if there are two things. I mean, one was, and we discussed this when it was going back to the school issue, that the dimmable creates high-frequency transients, which creates line pollution. Longer conversation, but all of that increases the more people have electronics in their house, the more pollution goes onto the lines, the more that backs up in other people's houses and reduces the power quality. Again, unless you're the 5% of people that have PX cabling in your house, it doesn't get blocked. But going back to the node, if they're driving around with an app that suggests there's some kind of little continual wireless emission from the street light, converting it into like a quasi cell tower, and that was a concern that had been raised.
Thank you very much. I hope we've not answered some of your questions, but we know what your questions are. And once we're able to set up a meeting, we'll do so, and it'll be transparent, the meeting. Okay? Thank you very much. Continuing, the minutes of our last meeting. That's the February 22nd. I need approval. So moved. Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Communications. I have a letter from the St. Patrick's Day Committee. They are going to have a parade. It's not going to be like the parades in the past. It's going to be one of these drive-through type of parades. It'll be on March the 13th. It's going to start at 2 p.m. with a small ceremony at Memorial Park, and then they're going to wind through the town and the village, or the town outside the village and the village. Mostly outside of the village. They're going to go behind the lake or behind our pond in that area there. So I'm going to put the two maps that I have on the bulletin board outside, and that's it for the St. Patrick's Day. It's going to be a limited parade. It's not going to be like we've had in the past, and it is the 6th annual parade. So it's amazing how years go by, huh? And don't forget, last year, I think it was, they didn't have it last year, right? They
Yeah.
canceled? Oh, they didn't have it, okay.
It's the last
Yeah.
event that I think we had in
Okay.
normalcy.
Right.
Yep.
That was in the normal days. Financial reports, transferred into the paying account $70,803. The big items were the Global Montello for sanitation diesel, $2,503. New York State Municipal Workers' Compensation, $31,880. Orange and Rockland Utilities, $2,570 for streetlights. Ryder Winger Frankel, $6,263 for legal services. TAM Enterprises, $2,200 for sludge removal. And the Town of Highlands Employees Association, $4,590 for the 2021 clothing allowance. Any questions on those numbers or anything? I don't have anybody here to answer them tonight anyway, so that's okay. Board liaison reports. We'll start with the longest report.
Okay. Well, you're probably spot on tonight.
All these files are yours, right? For the report?
Everything.
Okay.
You're going to have to be here till midnight. So I'll start off with the building department. The annual report due to the state April 1st, there seems to be a large number of concerned officials checking on it. It's done. It'll be submitted before the end of the week. So you can rest at ease on that one. In the meantime, I'll go through this. I'm going to read, there's been a delay on fire inspections. So today, or the other day, spoke with our consultant, and I'm gonna read an email he sent with me today, and want the people of the community to be ready for fire inspections, because they're coming. Spoke with Phil, who will coordinate with the town assessor to develop a list of parcels and owners that require fire inspections. Once we have that, we will draft up a letter on the town letterhead to the impacted properties and inform them of the required inspections. And then, based upon uses, we will prioritize and then start scheduling the inspections. Depending upon the initial results, we will have a better feel on the process and how many re-inspections are required to get the properties into compliance. They're expecting 2 per property. So Phil's alone down there, he's busy, the fire inspections are gonna get done, and now people are probably wondering, how much is this gonna cost? Well, so far this year, out of the $5,000 that we budgeted for non-reimbursed consultant fees, we spent $1,048. If we had somebody in that seat downstairs right now, we'd be at about $13,000. That seat has $62,000 available. We haven't touched that. And we can transfer that money into use for the consultant. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a home run. There's been a couple of big projects that were lingering. The consultant did a good job on them. I don't know that the people always got the answers they want, but they got processed. That I can guarantee them, that they'll get processed. So I'm very happy with where the building department is going, and the fire inspections will get done. And in the building department, from last year to this year, we already dropped it 3.7% anyway. So I expect some nice savings and good service out of that department, the way that we're structuring it.
Richie, the fire inspections, I believe there's a charge of $30 a person.
I believe
That's
so.
on
I
this.
told them to work out the associated
Right.
fees. I don't have any idea what they are. I've had both fire chiefs express concern over the delay on this. And this week, this Facebook site, the History of Highland Falls, the whole week was based on buildings on Main Street that burned. The bowling alley, Joseph's, the Christina Hotel, the Venice, the Southgate. So I thought to myself, I guess it's time to do fire inspections. So they're coming.
Yeah, good.
All right. The sewer plant, this will be another unpopular one. I can't even read my own writing. So the sewer plant, in March, the annual report is due. He hasn't submitted it yet. This is unofficial. But the average flow last year at that plant is going to come out to 93,000 gallons per day at a plant rated for 120,000. Couple a little unofficial things. Down at the Holiday Inn, I believe that Article 78, Justin can correct me if I'm wrong, is over with. They had projected the new hotel using 10,000 gallons a day, making 10,000 gallons a day of effluent, and the restaurant associated down there being at 2,000 gallons a day. If you go over to the entrance of Corbin Hill, active before the planning board now, they blew the dust off a project that was approved years ago. I think it's called Pine Hill. There's going to be a considerable amount there, and then next to your restaurant down there, that's zoned R5. All those built that will inundate that plant. And so this is another unpopular thing. We have an outside the sewer district user in the trailer park, and I have requested to see how many gallons a day they're using and how much sewage is coming out of there, and we're going to have to figure something out over the next year. I'm not saying we need to have a moratorium yet, but it's not going to work. Everything is just not going to fit, and we're going to have to figure something out down there. So I know that's not popular, but that's how it is. And also down at the sewer plant, a little bit of humor here. I want to jump on the bandwagon. If Aaron's watching, everybody's been applauding Aaron lately, rightfully so. Well, it so happens the guy's a pretty good computer geek. So he went down to the plant the other day rather than the Windsor IT and solved a couple of software problems. So kudos to Aaron. On the planning board, the legal notices are in the paper this week. They'll be meeting on the day after St. Patrick's Day. They have 2 public hearings this month. I believe that's all they have. And the only other thing, I was going to read off a little bit of the LED light history. We pretty much covered that. Just want the people to know that a couple of years ago, Bill Etzel spearheaded this before I got here. We had a company called Computel, and they came in. They're sort of an advocate for municipalities that feel they're being overcharged. If you remember, they got us a refund. It was either $15,000 or $18,000. We switched, not the deliverer. The deliverer is always going to be O&R, but the supplier to Direct Energy, and that has saved us some money because those numbers you're reading used to be $3,600 a month, and you just wrote off $2,500 a month. So the street lighting is going down the right path, and we'll see where this LED lighting thing goes. And later on, I won't do it now during my report. You guys might have gotten my email. Later on, I'd like to have a small discussion on Garrison Pond and on Channel 23. I'll wait till later in the meeting.
Okay. Councilman King.
All righty. So good evening, everyone, and good evening, everyone at home. Got a few notes here myself tonight, starting off with disaster preparedness. We want to continue the fight against COVID-19. Specifically, I want to encourage the community members to continue to wear your mask and continue to social distance. It appears that there seems to be light at the end of the tunnel as we, come into the spring here shortly. But don't get fooled. It's still out there, and we have to be safe. That being said, the second thing towards this fight is get vaccinated. So the opportunities are becoming increasingly more available. And even here in the town, we've taken a proactive approach to try to help folks that otherwise could not get on the state website or did not have transportation to get over to the other locations such as White Plains, Middletown, so forth and so on. So what we've done, you've heard me talk a few times about attempting to establish a pop-up site here in the town of Highlands. That doesn't appear to be as easy as I may have thought in the beginning, and it doesn't appear to be something that's going to happen. I spoke last week specifically to Senator Skoufis, and what he assured me is that he's working diligently to make something happen that'll be closer to us, which the pop-up site he's working on is in Newburgh. And so what I said to him is if he's able to make that happen, then I would talk to the board about seeing if we can use our dial bus to shuttle our folks over to Newburgh. That's a lot closer than going to any other location. And what he mentioned that he would do, it'd be accessible to us to help coordinate that if necessary, because there's rules that are applicable to the dial bus and how far it can go and where it can go, because it's governed by the county. But given the fact that we're in a pandemic, there could be some exceptions to policy. So I would certainly take the senator's help when that time comes. But nevertheless, in lieu of that, what we've done between the conversations with myself and Jim Modlin and Aaron Falk and Kurt Hahn, we've come up with a couple other solutions which are within our control. One is create our own internal list of folks that are eligible and that are willing and wanting to get a shot. And so you might have saw Aaron post some stuff through social media about this endeavor. And then come to find out when local Walgreens started to have vaccines available, the communication between us and them facilitated people in our community to get shots because we already had this list ready. And then we provided that list to Walgreens. Now, extending that effort, what Kurt Hahn has done is gotten X amount of shots committed to Cornwall and town of Highlands that are in Goshen. And so similarly, what we're going to do is take this list that we've already accumulated, and for those at home who are still looking to get vaccinated, please contact Aaron Falk at the town recreation department, or if you can't reach him, myself, Jim Modlin, anybody here on the board really, Kurt Hahn. But if you contact the town and then get yourself on the town's list, what's going to happen is tomorrow on Wednesday, the Orange County Office of the Aging is going to start to call people on that list to register you for shots on Thursday in Goshen. And then again, we're working now to see how we can move people to that location. If it's not the dial bus, then we're going to try to go to the West Point Tours. And maybe they could make some exception for us because it's a community event. And I know they've done that in the past with Jeff Gathers working down there. So that's the effort that we're putting forth to try to facilitate, particularly our senior citizens, to get these shots. So moving right along. The center continues to be champions throughout this pandemic, continues to engage our senior population, and continues to try to ensure that the wellness and well-being, and to include their mental health, is addressed. So they had 28 contacts with seniors throughout the month of February. They've done weekly knitting groups, including seniors from Cornwall that have come over and participated. And they've had weekly social hours at the center. Now keep in mind, when I say social hours, these things are still happening within the COVID constraints, i.e. people are wearing masks, people are socially distanced and spread throughout the facility. Nobody's bunching up, and we're not just disregarding what the rules are applicable to COVID. They're having weekly emails go out to senior citizens that share health and education resources. And they've done weekly food distribution to at least 6 households within the month of February. And so these guys, again, should be applauded. Thank you so much for the team that's down at the center for all you do. We appreciate you. They have some trips planned for 2021, believe it or not. June 2021, the plan is to go to Boston. August 2021, the plan is to go to Washington, D.C. And October of 2021, the plan is to go to Atlantic City. Now, I continue to emphasize the plan because it's all pending COVID-19 restrictions. And we pray that we would have the opportunity, because everything will be good enough to go and enjoy those trips. But I like the fact that they're leaning forward and doing that. And lastly, the Orange County Youth Bureau announces 2 requests for proposals for funding for 2021. One is specifically for municipalities, which means municipalities qualify under the areas of recreation and wellness and youth to get some funding for programs. Now, I put that out there just so you know that there are monies starting to come from various locations, one of which is this agency, and we at the town, certainly paying attention to that, are going to apply. And so Aaron is already on it.
Yeah.
And he's already engaged. And I just want to reassure that the community at large knows that we're leaning forward on these endeavors. Pending any questions, I think that's all I have, Supervisor.
Thank you, sir, and a good job on the viral shots and COVID-19 shots.
And just so the community knows, one last thing from me is that I got the shot this morning. So for those who are afraid and those who have some apprehensions, I started to take a picture, but I didn't want to get caught passing out. I talk highly of these folks because I didn't even feel it, to be honest with you. I was like, when are you going to get started? The shot was over with. So get out there and take those vaccines. I'd like to see those folks who do post things on social media ensuring us that the people at large are getting it, because that's what's going to help us win this fight against COVID-19.
I think I can top that with my own experience and my wife. We got our first and our second shots. There was absolutely no reaction after the shots, and no reactions whatsoever. My arm didn't even hurt, nor did hers. Wow. None of this sick stuff and feeling bad and headaches, nothing, absolutely nothing. So I'm not saying everyone would be the same way as us, but I'm saying us 2 old people had no problems.
Yes. Good job.
Councilman Parry.
Bob, I just want to, again, thank all our municipal employees for all their efforts and hard work in maintaining the services that have been required and needed during this time. There may be a light at the end of the tunnel at this point, but I don't know. I have a suspicion that there might be another wave coming our way. And so everybody should continue to practice the suggestions on keeping things safe. And I did have a shot too. My arm did hurt, but I got over it quickly. So It's great. And I didn't have to go to Potsdam or Plattsburgh to get it. Right down here at
I just
Walgreens.
say we're Main Street.
It was
I
great.
went to Goshen, but that's.
Okay, so, that's all I have, Bob.
Okay. Councilman Moulton.
Good evening, everyone. Just to make it sort of unanimous, got my first shot also. So no reactions to it so far. Got the second one coming around in another week or two here. But I would like to echo what everyone else is saying. It's obviously a personal decision, a lot of opinions, but at least another person who is glad that got it and had no reactions whatsoever. Just a few things tonight. Was able to meet with the ambulance corps last week. If any of them are listening, really enjoyed the meeting. A lot of information was shared, and I'll say it to the board in terms of just about everything, but certainly to the ambulance corps that the more I understand, the better off I'm going to be in the position to represent them, and that's sort of the message I gave the ambulance corps. So I'm going to be asking them a lot of questions. I'm going to be, some of them may seem like, where's this guy coming from? But it's all part of me getting up to speed so that I can represent what their needs and interests are, for the various reasons and everything. So Jeff is off working on getting me some information. Another thing I asked for, and we've heard this before, I think we heard it from Jeff when he was here at our last meeting, a concern about EMTs and being able to keep them with us because of market pressures where they may be offered jobs as an EMT at a higher rate. And so I'm trying to find out, and I've asked them to, okay, what is that rate? What is the market right now for EMTs in this area? We need to have a target that we need to look at, and I don't know what that target is. So more to follow on that. So we're continuing the sort of the discussion, I guess, that we had last time that we met with the board. Attended a Chamber of Commerce meeting for the month of March. They had a very good speaker. Some of you may know him, a guy by the name of Steve Knob. He is with the Orange County Workforce Development Office over in Goshen. A couple of comments that came from there is that unemployment in the county is still high, not as high as it has been, but it is still high. But he wanted to deliver the message that there are jobs available. And what the county is trying to do is to match people with jobs. So I guess the message to everyone who may be listening is go on their website, look them up. This is the Orange County Workforce Development Office. Steve Knob, K-N-O-B is his name. And their mission is to get people back to work, to put people into jobs. And so if that is of a concern or of interest to you, certainly take advantage of that. He did mention that there are concerns that people have about returning to work. We're talking about one right now, the whole COVID situation and everything else like that. That's quite natural. Another concern too, and this is a discussion that's out there, is the situation with schools and kids being home. And it's difficult for parents who may otherwise be at work to be having to stay home with their child while schools are out and the online learning and stuff like that. So there are a lot of things that people are aware of that's going on that is impacting getting people back to work. Chamber of Commerce is offering a real discount in their dues this year, $50 per year. If anyone is interested of joining the Chamber of Commerce, just contact them and they can set you up with that information. Chamber is also, as we all know, Village of Highland Falls is in the midst of an election coming around in another week. The Chamber is going to be hosting a meet and greet, an online meet and greet with any of the candidates who want to take advantage of that. It is, I believe it's starting at 4 o'clock or shortly thereafter, an online event over Facebook. And if you are interested in, and the candidates are being, from what I understand, the candidates are being contacted about participating. But if anyone is interested in listening to that, again, contact the Chamber of Commerce. But that's going to be scheduled for this Friday, again, I think at 4 o'clock. Attended another monthly meeting of the Military Installation Resiliency Council. This is that study that is being funded by the Department of Defense to various military installations across the country. West Point is involved in this, and it is looking at the resiliency of their power distribution into the military academy and surrounding communities, which is why we are involved in that. And surrounding communities are defined for the extent of this study as being the town of Highlands and then also the village of Highland Falls. So Highland Falls and everything outside of Highland Falls that's within the town of Highlands. They're almost at a point of releasing a request for proposals to get a consultant to do this study. This is all being organized and run by the Orange County Planning Department. So they're the ones that are putting it all together, going to be supervising the consultant, putting together the bid package, those kinds of things. So that probably sometime this spring will be hitting the street. They will be soliciting proposals for it, stuff like that. So I'll stay engaged with that, and as that starts to happen, my obvious representation in this is to ensure whatever is included in this study, and therefore whatever kind of benefit there may be as a result of this study, Town of Highlands is going to be a beneficiary of that. And Town of Highlands, to include the village of Highland Falls, is going to be a beneficiary. So there's going to be redundancy. There's going to be looking for what happens when power goes out for whatever reasons. How do we get power back on quickly? Those kinds of things. So it's a potential good news thing for us. Attended the village board meeting last week. A couple of comments about Aaron Falk have already been mentioned tonight, well deserved. Village board couldn't say enough about Aaron in terms of the different things that he's doing for the entire community. So good job, Aaron, if you're out there listening. There was a comment, I think this was mentioned at our last board, about the I don't know if it's an MOA or MOU or what it is, but some kind of agreement between the town and the village regarding the senior center, the community center. They've got that, in fact, I think Ty was asking about that, they've got that document, they're reviewing it, they are making some comments on it, and they're gonna get it back, and maybe we've gotten it back already, I don't know, but
No, not yet. So that's good to know.
they have it, they wanna work it, and they're gonna be getting back with us on that. Let's see, I guess the last thing, I'd mentioned the village elections that are coming around. I know me personally, last October, November timeframe, when we had the elections for the town and other offices, that it amazed me the amount of people that got involved and went out and voted. And I would encourage all of our residents of Highland Falls to keep that same spirit and get out and vote. It's an opportunity for your voices to be heard. I can tell you, elected officials listen to those voices, and so it's an opportunity to be heard. The voting, I believe, starts at 12 noon in the senior center on next Tuesday, the 16th of March. And it will go until about, I think it's 9 o'clock or so is when that is. So again, this is an opportunity, and I would encourage all of our Highland Falls residents to let your voices be heard and get out and vote. We've got a lot of candidates out there this time. So that's all I have, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Chief?
I'll be quick. I also had my shot, and I won both times, so a little different than all of you. So I just want to point out that last week we had our first committee meeting for police reform under 203. I think it went very well. It lasted about an hour. Tomorrow night, again, we'll have another committee meeting. We have some other folks joining into the meeting. Our third meeting, which will be the following week, I'm just not sure with St. Patrick's Day, how everybody's plan is, probably more near the end of the week, will be our public meeting. So we have a dedicated email on the website for any questions or concerns about police reform in the town of Highlands, and we can only take police reform for the town of Highlands. Meeting, have any questions that come in, we will discuss it as committee, and then we'll add it to the plan. I'm happy to report that the plan is done, but it has to be finalized after public input. So whatever public input we do receive, we'll put into the plan. Obviously, some things that might not be able to put in the plan based on what the public states, but it's about 25 pages long, so I'm pretty happy with it. It's longer than I talk, so it's not bad. But then our fourth and final meeting will be to finalize the plan presented. And then it goes to the board to adopt it and send it to all. So I was pretty happy with last week's meeting. The supervisor was on, Mr. Wright was on, I think it went well. We had some good input. Tomorrow we have some additional folks from the garrison that'll be calling in as well. because as I stated last meeting, we have our high school students who come through the community and live on West Point to go to high school there, so I think it's important for them to be part of it. Other than that, move right along. So we'll be ready to go. Without that.
So Chief, very good job on the meeting. I was on there as well, and I talked to the young man from the high school, Victor Cadet, Saturday. He appeared to be somewhat confused on the timing, and that's why he apologized for missing that meeting. He certainly is still interested, so if you can reach out to him again, I would ask you to do that. Secondly, on a different subject, AEDs, that you were taking the lead on, to include the ambulance corps, for sure. But I just thought about it when I was last week at Senator Scooper's office. By the way, he presented me this award that I'd never heard of, didn't know it was out there, called the Veterans Hall of Fame Award from the state of New York. So while there, of course, I had to ask, what's going on with these AEDs?
I was gonna bring that up, and now I won't.
I was like, where's our, thanks for the award, but where's the AEDs?
Okay.
So,
Toot your own horn, that's all right, that's okay.
well, I had to give you a reason for why I'm over in his office.
Okay.
But so he said that he certainly got them on his list. They don't have the funding right now, but when he does, that he would help with that. Now, not to exclude Colin Schmidt, because he came up on the net as well and said, how could he help, took the numbers down. And so both of those guys at the state level, Assembly and Senator, are also engaged to try to help us out. I want to make sure you do that.
I did speak to Mr. Scoofus' representative, so I sent her a letter outlining what we were looking to do, and she said that she'll send a reply back once he receives it, and then hopefully if it's on the agenda, there's no guarantee there's gonna be money, but if money does come available, we're able to get reimbursement. If we buy it prior to, and we didn't get approval on the agenda, then there's no reimbursement. So as of right now, we're okay, you know, if push comes to shove and we have to purchase one, that's what we can do, and then hold off for the others. But I did speak to her, and she promised me after receipt of the email that she would let me know once it's presented, so that's all we're waiting for.
Good stuff. Yeah, hopefully we get it.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
I got a couple of notes here. Councilman King received the Veterans Award from Senator Larkin, not Senator Larkin, Senator Scoofus. So much for that, since he tooted his own horn. Okay, the one thing I would like to talk about is garbage. Our sanitation guys, as Richie reminds us, are really doing a good job. And it's not a nice job, and especially in the wintertime, it's even worse. But I've made it clear to the superintendent of highways, their boss, that if people have garbage pails outside and animals get into it, it's not our guys' job to pick up the stuff on the ground. They're in there to take the pails, dump them, and put them back. It's the homeowner that's got to take care of either securing the pails so that they don't get the animals don't get into them, but by no means do our guys have to do any of that. They don't have to shovel snow to get to them either, and that includes the dumpsters. They don't have to shovel snow to get to the dumpsters. So all of these things are not to make it easier for the sanitation guys, but it's only right. They have a job to do, they do their job. Dumpsters, if your wheels fall off, or any of your wheels fall off, we have wheels for sale at the town garage. You'll have to find somebody to fix it, but we do have the wheels that fit, I think, all of the dumpsters. The cans, now if your can lid breaks off, or that bar that's across the front breaks off, or what have you, we'll fix it. The town garage people will fix it. You can bring it up to them, and they'll probably give you one and replace it and fix that, but they'll fix it. Lastly, bulk. If you have a mattress that you want to put out, call the town garage, 3800, tell them where you live, what you got, and they'll pick it up. And they'll tell you when to put it out, because it's not out every day. However, if you're cleaning out your apartment, or you're doing a big clean out, we're not going to take the stuff you pile out in the street. And that is going to be up to the discretion of the highway superintendent. You can call up and say, I just put a whole bunch of stuff out, He'll come down and look at it, and he'll tell you either he's not going to take it, and then if you leave it there, you're going to get a summons from our building inspector. So I hope that clears it up, because we've had a couple of problems here in the last couple of weeks, and that's it, simple as I can make it. Our sanitation guys have a hard job, and I appreciate the work that they do, and it's not a nice job to do. That being said, we have a local law, community choice aggregation. This is a program that allows local governments to procure power on behalf of its residents and businesses from an energy supplier while still receiving transmission and distribution from the existing utility provider. Now, this law has been drafted with a third-party administrator, although the town has the ability to administer it if they prefer, or if we prefer. The law has been drafted electing to have all eligible service classes as defined by the Public Service Commission for O&R to be eligible, rather than limiting the classes for eligibility. The law has been drafted with an opt-out provision rather than an opt-in. Thus, everyone is eligible unless they opt out. Consumers will be notified by the third-party administrator of their rights and ability to opt out. Similarly, new residents will be enrolled unless they opt out. The town must enter into a data security agreement with the distribution utility. Presumably, this is done with the third-party administrator's assistance. As a reminder, O&R will continue to distribute and transmit the utility while the CCA is a contract with the source of energy. The law allows for an advisory group, and the board will either need to create the group or the town board will act as the primary party. And I believe we plan on being in the middle. We're going to have some people from the outside be part of the group, and at least one councilman will be on it. So, we had our public hearing twice, this week, tonight and last meeting. So I have a resolution to introduce and schedule that's the wrong one. I have a local law to establish a community choice aggregation energy program in the town of Highlands. Do I have a motion to?
Motion.
Second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sullivan?
Aye.
Councilmember King?
All right.
Councilmember Perry?
Aye.
Councilmember Modlin?
Aye.
And Supervisor Lipsey?
Aye. Justin, do I need anything to do the CEQA?
No, it was contained in this resolution, and I'll send it down to the clerk, and she'll send it up to the Department of State.
Okay. And let me see, what's next on the agenda? I lost my agenda. I always lose my agenda. I do. Oh, I got it right here. The land lease agreement. Oh, okay. Justin, would you take that part of the?
Sure. Certainly. So the supervisor was contacted by Verizon Wireless regarding potentially siting a pole at the town highway garage. This is something that we looked at several years ago, but they are interested again. They have provided sort of their standard documentation, which would obviously need some of your comments and or my legal comments. They have provided more than a sketch map of the intended installation. It does fit quite well at the property. As you all know, the town highway garage is in the village of Highland Falls, so it's subject to their zoning requirements. Any approvals needed would be obtained by Verizon, and then the lease, should you choose to go forward with it would be entered into. But approvals are on the burden of Verizon or the applicant, and that would be in the, subject to the village zoning. Previously, I can send it again, giving you a memo, just sort of reminding you of a doctrine in the state of New York, balancing equities as to whether or not zoning has to apply to this type of project. In a quick review, much of it's fairly standardized at this point, right? Cell towers are around and about in many places. But it's a classic sort of first attempt by the applicant to have things more, slightly more favorable to their terms than to municipalities. So there would be some comments, including, one of the sticky areas is always when the technology changes or when the applicant wants to leave town, and what do we do? And so they say they'll remove it, but they don't indicate that they'll post a bond to remove that in 30 years or 5 years. So there's issues to address, but it is certainly a solid starting point for all of you to review the matter.
Yeah, I asked Justin to make his comments to us and the Verizon, especially with the removal of the equipment. I think we might suggest to them that we're not sure that that is the best rent that they'll be paying.
That's correct.
And, let them see if they can't give us a counter offer without us saying how much we want.
Okay, certainly.
So if you would handle that, Justin, I appreciate
Sure.
that.
Has the board received a copy, just so they can get eyes on it? And
I thought I sent it to everybody. Did anybody get it? Nobody got it? Okay, that's my fault.
A while back, did you send it?
Yeah,
I remember there was a map in there and all that.
Yeah.
It was a while back.
yeah, okay.
could have predated you, Councilman Modwin. Certainly, or I can circulate it
Yeah, why don't you
tomorrow
send
when
it to
I'm
the
back
board?
at my
Yeah.
desk.
Yeah, okay.
I'll let you know.
Very good. Okay, is there anything else?
Yeah, just real quick, I didn't want to do my liaison report. I didn't want to bring it up. So, two things. I was contacted by a local resident that lives down on the lake that I live on. I sent out the email to everybody. In the budget for the last 2 years for Garrison Pond, which is a town-owned lake, there was $12,000 for treatment. In our deliberations last year, I'm looking at it here, we chopped that down to $8,000. I don't talk about it often because it would look like collusion on my part, but there is a bit of a problem with the Japanese knotwood or the reed. I don't want to get my terminology wrong, which is different than what they treat for at the Eurasian milfoil. About 25 years ago, when they redid 9W, the drainage that used to go down past the old oak from over basically by your restaurant now goes down into the lake. So basically from the Bear Mountain Bridge Motel to basically the stoplight at firefighters all drains into Garrison's Pond, including the chemicals used to treat the road. What that has done is made this knotwood, it's like bamboo, very invasive. And I've had some real estate people tell me if I were to sell I sent the drone picture if you saw it, of the reeds behind my house. I'm constantly fighting them so they're not coming into basically my rear entrance of the house back there. So this isn't about me, but I asked Pat Patterson, because in the report that they sent out to the people that live there was the following statement. Treatment of shoreline common reed growth will also be conducted as part of the lake program if requested by the town. So I know there's no money, and I told this person I would bring it up because it's important. It's getting out of hand all the way around the lake, and it's getting to a point where about 3 years from now you won't be able to launch a boat from anywhere except down at the dam. So I just wanted to bring it up. I'm not sure if there's any fresh ideas, and I asked Pat to turn that into a number, to contact that company. He didn't get back to me yet. So I'll follow up on that when I get that number, and maybe we can do something. The other thing is Jim has brought up doing Zoom meetings and whatnot. I've had somebody contact me about just the opposite. that when something instantaneous happens, they would like to see it on channel 23. So I did a little bit of research, and you already know everything I'm going to say, maybe other people do too. Channel 23 is administered by the assessor's office only on a computer that's dedicated from Time Warner just to that TV they have down there. I believe right now that office is not manned during the week, and I don't believe it's manned on Fridays. Lisa works Monday through Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, and Jean is there at nighttime. So it wouldn't be plausible if something's going to happen on Saturday and you want to put on Friday. There's nobody to do that. But there are people out there that don't have this app or Facebook and whatnot that wanted to have me ask about using that medium. And when I checked into it, it doesn't look overly plausible without making some changes. So I just wanted to bring it up.
But you have Lisa and Jean.
Yes.
Both do it.
Yes, but I don't believe Lisa's here this week, and with Jean, she's there at nighttime, and on Fridays, I don't think anybody's there.
No.
So say if somebody wanted to put something on Friday morning for a Saturday event,
Yeah.
that's just not gonna happen the way we're currently structured, so just when I told the person I would talk about it and get ideas.
I'll get some ideas, see if we can have someone else learn how to use it. At one point in time, I did know how to use it, but I don't know anymore.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Anything? Okay, I'll ask for a motion to go into executive session to discuss LED lighting with our attorney.
Before the motion, I did have something. I wanted to say Happy International Women's Day to all the ladies in the building and at home and around the community. International Women's Day.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, I got a motion on the floor.
Make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're going to do the meeting downstairs in my office.